Chris McConaughey on the Channel 7 News.
Good evening, viewers. Tonight's broadcast will be focused upon the catastrophic events during the war. How about that weather, Chris?
Oh yeah, she's pretty cold out there. That's why I always say, never take a job where the winter winds will blow your pants up. Now let's head over to Jake for a recap about the Battle of Marne.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, I'm Jacob Musser. September 6, 1914. This is the date of one of the greatest battles this world has ever seen, and it took place down by the River Marne.
Only about 30 miles outside of Paris, France, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. The German Shetland plan included a swift defeat of France and then would turn towards Russia. The German First Army was instructed to encircle Paris and conquer the great city. The French general Joseph Joffre had something up his sleeve though. With nowhere to go, he decided to launch a counter-offensive attack. Since there was a 30-mile wide gap between the German First and Second Army, he attacked the right flank of the First Army. And backed by the British Expeditionary Force, they were able to impose many casualties on the Germans. Then, just as the Germans were about to break through, 600 taxicabs brought 6,000 French reserve soldiers from Paris. The following night, the French launched a surprise attack against the German Second Army, forcing them to retreat. The Battle of the Marne ended on September 10th and brought German dominance to a halt. After 40 miles of withdrawal, the Germans dug in at the River Isne and prepared for a new kind of war, in the trenches.
Now you may be wondering how many casualties each country suffered during this battle.
And as the graph clearly shows, the French suffered 250,000, Germans about 250,000 because they did not actually record any official figures, and Great Britain suffered 12,733.
Now back to the studio.
In other exciting news, the British liner Louisiana was torpedoed by 2 or 3 German torpedoes on May 7, 1915. The liner sunk within 18 minutes of the attack, and killing 1,198 passengers and leaving only 716 survivors. On board, there were 159 U.S. citizens and 128 were killed during the attack. U.S. officials are reacting cautiously to the situation at hand, but they say they will not let this injustice go.
This seems very all of a sudden. Is there any breach of international warfare code at all? And what do German officials have to say for themselves?
As of right now, Chris, German officials are commenting that they believe that the Louisiana was transporting war goods. This would give them the right to the attack. However, no war goods have been found.
As the battles and warfare is escalating in the seas, we're also beginning to see a lot of action in the air. Dogfights, aerial combat fights, are becoming more popular as the technology advances. With the success of mounted machine guns on the planes, the dogfights have become more intense. German forces seem to be the alpha male of the aerial combat, though. German pilot Baron Manfred von Richthofen, otherwise known as the Red Baron, is credited with 80 air combat victories, which is more than any other pilot in the war so far. He is considered the ace of the aces in the war. If the Red Baron continues his streak, the Germans may have an advantage over the Allies. Here is the Red Baron's plane.
I'm here with 2 soldiers, which I will not name upon request. I will be addressing the Frenchman as Frank and the German as George. Now, so you viewers can understand, we're talking about the Christmas truce, which was a truce that was decided on Christmas Eve and that would go until the afternoon of Christmas. So George, in your words, who thought of the truce, and who did you contact? How did you contact the other side to settle the truce?
Well, sir, I believe no one really planned it out. And for contact, we were only about 30 yards apart, so we just yelled at each other and we decided on truce.
Well, I agree, but before we discussed a truce, we sang carols and went on the field talking to each other and celebrating.
So how was it compared to Christmas at home? And what did you guys do to celebrate? And was there anything to promote the truce?
Wow. Go ahead. Thanks. It was not as as comfortable as home, but it was the best Christmas I'd ever had during the war. We exchanged gifts like cigars. Well, I'll let him finish.
Thanks. There wasn't any anger or hatred, and I was curious about the others' side and if they were as bad as they said. We even buried the dead together.
Any last words?
Yeah, I see most people know that we weren't trained much because we were taking from our jobs. The thing is, though, our enemy has been through the same thing. That made it a lot harder to go back to fighting.
Well, thank you for telling us your side of the story. Bon voyage.
The short.
Well, even in harsh war, peace can prevail. Until next time, I'm James Keffert. Bye.
After a week of intense fighting, the Battle of the Somme continues to rage on. There are nearly 100,000 British casualties and thousands more for the German and French. We turn to Tyler Cox on site at the Somme River for further coverage of the battle.
Hi, I'm Tyler Cox. I'm here near the Somme River in the northern part of France. The Battle of the Somme was a joint British and French operation and began in July. The two allies bombarded the German lines for 8 days after leaving their trenches. What the French and British thought would be a quick and easy battle to gain land and cut German reserve soldiers and supplies from Verdun is obviously turning out to be a very long and devastating battle. There's been shots fired near my location. I'm on the move. Not only will this battle be a very long one, but it's sure to be a very costly one too, for both sides. With so many British casualties and well over 20,000 for both French and German, but over this time this battle is finally over, total casualties could be much higher than any previous battle in the war. Grenade! Ah! Let's get out of here! Oh no! Ah! Ah! My camera died! I'm here my own! The bloodshed that occurred in the first week of the battle is sure to continue for as long as the battle goes, and nobody knows how effective the attack will actually be for the British and French. If they're only able to continue gaining ground at this pace, then it will be a very questionable whether or not the casualties are worth cost for the reward. Only time will tell how much more painful the Somme will be. I'm Todd Coxinawa. Stay for the sports. It'll be worth it.